All right, we are live. All right, come on in, everybody. Welcome back to The Holler. tnholler.com, at the TN Holler, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. We also have Hollers hollering all across the state. Thanks to your support, we appreciate it. Shout out to Elisa Parker. If you need a home or want to sell one in Middle Tennessee, do it through her. And if you are in need of a lawyer, Abby Rubenfeld is who you should reach out to. All right, let's get right to it. Today we have somebody you all know. I don't even need to introduce her. Rep. Gloria Johnson is joining us from Memphis, Senate candidate running for Marsha Blackburn's current seat to get her out of there. Gloria, how you doing tonight?
Doing great tonight. Had great turnout here in Memphis, and just a lot of folks excited. It's great time to be a Democrat in Tennessee, is all I can say.
So you just opened an office in Memphis. Where is it so everybody knows?
Yeah, it's on 2877 Poplar Avenue is where we are. So we have yard signs and all the things that folks need.
All right. Well, a lot of times we get people on here to talk about, hey, how's the campaign going? Introduce yourself. Who are you? But we don't need to do that with you. We all know who you are. Today, we're going to talk about something specific, something that you have spoken out about today. And just to kind of tee it up for folks in case they've missed it, a few days ago, we got a message in our inbox that there was this letter going around being sent to what seemed like people with immigrant sounding names or recent immigrants to the United States who were citizens, basically saying voting, not being a citizen, is a felony, and it's very threatening. And it was sort of confusing and seemed like pretty clear voter intimidation efforts. Now, within 3 days, that was June 22nd that we posted that. Now, 3 days later, John Ray Clemens posted about it. We saw it come up in the Tennessean. And basically what seems to have happened is Mark Goins, Secretary of Voter Suppression, Trey Hargett's right-hand man, has been sending thousands of letters to recent immigrants in the past few years that are citizens, basically, in what seems like a pretty clear voter suppression effort. Gloria was quoted in Democracy Docket today saying at its core, it is voter intimidation, and Tennessee voters are tired of the extremism. Gloria, what do you think about what's going on here with these letters? Does this really feel like voter intimidation to you?
It is absolutely voter intimidation. There is no question about it. The first person from my district that I heard from was a respected scientist at ORNL and at UT Knoxville, and was just horrified that he had been a citizen since 2022. And he's like, "Sure, I can prove this, but they can just run it through the system. Why do I have to go to all this trouble of sending all this in? Why did, it gives you this initial fear that you've done something wrong." And I think that's the whole point. Most of the people who get those letters probably aren't going to be PhD scientists, and they're going to be nervous and afraid to vote. And they may ask, at the bottom of the letter, the invitation to remove yourself from the voting rolls. I mean, that is scaring them that there may be a felony, charge. So you can remove your name from the rolls if you'd like. That is beyond outrageous. That is blatant um, uh, voter intimidation. There's no question about it. And one of the letters, or actually two of the letters, went to one of our election commissioners' family. Her husband is from France, and so is his son. They have both become citizens, but they still got the letters. And then if you look at the statute on what this someone in Mark Goins' position can do, he's supposed to get this information to the county election commission. The statute says he gives the yeah, great. Thank you for posting this. He gives this information to the county election commissions. He has the ability to check the federal database to see if they are citizens. They didn't even try to find out if these folks were citizens or allow the counties to find that out. Instead,
So
he
so just to be clear on that, you're basically saying that in statute, in the law, it says what he is supposed to do in this situation is go to the county, not
right,
send thousands of intimidating letters to people saying, if you vote, you could be in prison for a long time if you get something wrong, right?
14,000 letters to people who probably don't have the best understanding of the language they got the letter in or what the legal language meant. And that is horrifying to me that we are treating new Americans, people who came here, did everything right, and took the time and energy and learned everything they need to learn to become a U.S. citizen. And this is how we treat them. And guess who paid for those 14,000 letters? You did. Tennessee taxpayers paid for that when that is not the statutory process. It appears as if Mark Goins just bypassed what the statute says to do and made up his own system. And I have a lot of theories about what that's all about.
So is this a problem in Tennessee? Like, have there been instances where we know about people who are undocumented voting in Tennessee? Is that a real issue?
Well, I haven't heard a single issue about an undocumented person voting. Hasn't happened at all. But again, I think their purpose was twofold. I think the first reason they did it was so that they could get some of these people to just to be so frightened that they just said, remove me from the rolls. You know, they're intimidating these people not to vote. The second purpose I think they have is why don't we wait till after the election in Tennessee, after November? And I wonder if they're going to try to come back and say, oh, well, you know, we got beat in this race and that race because so many immigrants voted. I really believe they're going to try to use this after the election to make excuses.
Well, and
I think
is it aren't people who are in their kind of right wing bubble going to see this headline and think, oh,
right.
see, look, 14,000 undocumented, or whatever they'll call them, are voting. They're not going to
Exactly.
understand that these are citizens getting this letter.
And that's exactly why they did this. Now they are going to use this number and say this when the election is over. I've beat Marsha Blackburn for U.S. Senate, and we flipped multiple state House and state Senate seats because of their overreach. But they're going to blame it on people voting who shouldn't vote. But what they didn't do was they didn't do their due diligence. They didn't check to see if these people had become citizens, which every single one I talked to had. As a matter of fact, every single one that I talked to voted after their naturalization ceremony, after they officially became a U.S. citizen, then they registered to vote. And
Absolutely. Well, everybody we've heard from dozens now, and everybody's a citizen, and everybody has a story of, having immigrated here in the past decade, become a citizen, voted as a citizen. And it's like you said earlier, it's the people who look at all the legalese on this intimidating letter that, we posted earlier, where you just go, oh my God, what does all that mean? I don't know what all this means. I see in bold letters, for a person who's not a citizen. And then, it says the word felony. And I'm just going, if I was on the fence about voting at all, I'm just not even going to bother at this point.
right.
And I think, that's one thing that I wanted to ask you about. It's like people need to see this as part of the voter suppression puzzle, right? This is just one part
Yes.
of it.
And that's the thing. It will people are like, would do you really think it was? I'm like, look, there's a process. They've never done this before. Interesting. Why are they doing it this year? Because they know they're looking at the numbers and they know they're going to suffer this year because of their extremism and their overreach, what they've done to communities with gun violence, offering no solution, what they've done to women, literally telling women they are no longer equal and forcing 10-year-olds to carry a pregnancy. You don't think there are going to be repercussions for that? Well, I can't wait till election day in November, because they are going to find out fast and quick that women don't want to be second class citizens.
And for people who are unfamiliar with the antics of Trey Hargett and Mark Goins, this is not the first time something like this has happened. And, one of the very first things that we covered at the Holler was back in the day when Hargett had this voter registration criminalization push, basically doing the exact same thing, frankly, with voter
Right.
registration, basically letting people know, if you do this wrong, we are going to throw you in jail. We're going to make it a felony. And, even people who were doing it right started going, wait a minute, if this is going to be the penalty, if I do something wrong, registering people to vote, I'm just not even going to bother. That chilling effect, that is the point. And the same thing is true with these letters, right?
That is absolutely the point of these letters, and setting up a case for later when they don't do so well. I firmly believe that. And yes, Mark Goins has done it before. Think most recently of the challenge to Justin Jones, Representative Justin Jones' petition. Mark Goins showed up at the Davidson County Election Commission meeting. That's not normal. And he asked more questions than the commissioner. And he tried to put his fingers on the scale against Rep. Jones. This man has stepped way outside of his role. And what you're referring to, when Equity Alliance and some others registered all those voters, and they tried to make it illegal to do that. I remember him saying, this was back when we had pre-committees. Well, we had a
Right.
pre-committee actually in the committee room, and he came up and he said to the committee, when it was not on tape, pre-committee, and said that they were paying people by the registration form, and that was a lie.
Right, that was a lie. Yeah, we actually have that image I showed comes from a video where you can see all of that. And here you see Stacey Abrams posting about that push. So that
Right.
was a big deal at the time. And it ended up getting tossed out by a judge who actually excoriated Hargett and really embarrassed him in when they blocked it. So that was a really embarrassing moment for him. And so,
Right.
again, Mark Goins and Trey Hargett, they're not new to this. The same day that you're talking about when they went after Justin Jones, after that, Bo Mitchell had a similar issue where the Republican running against him had some forged signatures on their
Right.
petition. And we posted a video yesterday of her husband, I think, admitting that he forged his son's signature on her petition. Goins was in the room when that happened and they did nothing. So it
Right.
seems like they're really only reserving their concern about election integrity for Democrats, for immigrants, for people with foreign sounding names, and not for white Republicans who admit it to them right to their face.
Right, exactly. Absolutely. And what is the most, the voter fraud that we have seen over the last few years has all been Republican. I mean, this is outrageous and it is intimidation. And I'm just so angry because the people who call me understood what they were getting was bullshit. But the folks who don't call me and the folks who don't know who to call, those are the ones that worry me so much. And personally, somebody said that they think that the state should have to send out thank you, I mean, an apology letter to all
Right.
those people. I say no. He needs to go to every one of their homes and apologize to their faces, because that's a disgusting way to treat a new American citizen who has done everything right that they were supposed to do. And how dare he insult these hardworking people? It's just infuriating to me. And people say, well, we have to make sure that they're legal. All I had to do was run it through either a county system or a federal system. That's what they were supposed to do, but he didn't do that. Instead, he sent letters without doing a thorough check.
Right. And that's obviously intentional. I think him going door to door would be great. I actually do think they should send out a follow-up letter to everybody that they sent letters to, basically apologizing and saying what he said in the response, which was, you actually don't have to do anything. And I think people need to hear that. You really don't need to respond to that letter. If you do nothing, you'll be fine.
And,
So,
and I think, and I think that it needs to be paid for by Trey Hargett and Mark Goins,
yeah,
not,
absolutely.
not Tennessee voters, not Tennessee, citizens.
Is there anything that can be done if Goins did go outside the statute? What happens when somebody exceeds their job description and goes above and beyond like that? What's the guardrail? What can be done?
Well, I believe that we are, there are folks considering potential lawsuits. Certainly, these people that were just frightened that they had done something wrong or were about to do something wrong have a reason to bring a lawsuit.
Do you
You know,
think, like, just while I have you here, if people are interested in joining a lawsuit like that, that might have standing and have gotten that letter, who can they reach out to? Can they reach out to, can they just let you know that they're interested, or they can let us know too? But I'm wondering if there might be some sort of process there.
yeah, I don't know at this point. I'm not a lawyer,
Right.
but I do think that there has to be some way to get accountability for what was done here and what damage was done to people that so desperately wanted to become citizens. They did every single thing and spent all the time that it takes to become a U.S. citizen. They did all the hard work, and this is what they get for it. It's disgusting.
All right. Well, I was just that was Justin Jones calling me, so I sent him the link in case he wants to hop in and get mad. Also, uh, so before I let you go here, what do you want people to know about the campaign? Where are you going next? How can people join in?
Oh, I want people to know that we are coming to your county. We're going to all 95 counties. We've been to about 50, but we're probably going to get to all 95 counties twice, I think, by the time we finish this up. Because it's too important. We're having such good conversations with people where they live. And I cannot tell you how many folks are coming up saying, I've been a Republican my whole life, or I've been an independent my whole life, and I am not voting for Republicans this year. And to be honest, I am driving out to all rural counties all day, every day almost, and I'm not seeing Trump signs out there. I'm
There's
not.
something by me.
There's
Uh,
there there's some days we go without seeing a single one.
that's amazing. How many town halls has Marsha Blackburn had since you started this campaign?
Uh, Zero, but I do hear she's having closed door meetings with county officials,
Oh, I
and
believe that.
she's been at some Republican events. But I am posting on my website where I'm going to be, and I'm showing up there and talking to anybody who shows up. And interestingly enough, Marsha Blackburn has 3 trackers so far following me around to everywhere I go. And so I'm glad they're nervous.
Have you asked her? I guess you got to get through a primary and then ask her for a debate. But we have a debate tomorrow nationally. Hopefully she won't
Yeah,
run from you when it comes to a debate. I think everybody deserves to have a debate between the primary winner in the Democratic Party and also Marsha.
absolutely. I want to have a debate. I am happy to discuss the issues with her. And I'm happy to discuss them with people who come in and see us when we're touring around the state. Because I respect the human dignity of every single Tennessean, even the ones that I disagree with. I'll listen to you and I'll talk with you. There's no question about that.
Any
We can
final
talk.
thoughts for Hargett and Goins before I let you go?
I think they need to work on their apology tour. Maybe they could do it together because one didn't do it without the other. And maybe they should go on their own diners and dives tour and knock on all these doors and apologize to these folks that they have betrayed and frightened.
All right. Thank you, Gloria. Good luck with the campaign. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you.
All
Good
right.
night.
Take care. That is Gloria Johnson, Representative Gloria Johnson, potentially soon to be United States Senator Gloria Johnson, running to unseat Marsha Blackburn. She had some strong things to say about these letters that went out to 14,000 Tennesseans that were obviously just the latest example of Republican voter suppression in Tennessee, where they have turned voter suppression into an art form. And this is just the latest example. And to the people who say, oh, well, this was just an innocent, way of cleaning the voter rolls and nothing to worry about if you're a citizen. Well, that is spoken like somebody who didn't get one of these letters and is not a recent immigrant and is not somebody who is, potentially recent to the country and, somebody who does not get asked papers, please, because that's what this is. This is a papers, please letter from the Secretary of State. And it's shameful. It's obvious what's happening. I think Gloria is absolutely right that it's voter suppression. And we wanted to have her on here so that you all know that you don't have to respond to that letter. You can ignore it and tell people around you that it's nonsense and not something that should be taken seriously or cause you to vote. Everybody needs to vote. Not obviously if you're undocumented, but that's not a thing that's happening here anyway. So this was a solution in search of a problem, which is most of what the Republicans do here in Tennessee. Have a great night. We'll see you next time. Keep following the holler.